The HITL Governance Manifesto, our principles for software delivery. So, HITL governance principles. It's something a lot of people ask about, and today we're going to walk through it step by step. Let's talk about now why HITL governance principles matter more than technology. Most software projects don't fail because of bad code. According to our own delivery data, 67% of enterprise digital transformations miss deadlines due to governance failures, not technology failures. That means missed checkpoints, undefined approval chains, and AI outputs that nobody reviewed before they went live. When governance is treated as overhead instead of infrastructure, delivery suffers. This is true for traditional software delivery governance, and it compounds when AI enters the picture. The honest answer is it's rarely one thing. But if we had to pick the most common single cause across the projects we've inherited from other vendors, it's this: decisions that should have involved a human got made automatically, and nobody found out until the damage was done. Let's talk about now, what is human-in-the-loop governance in software delivery? Human-in-the-loop governance is a delivery methodology where human approval is required at every decision point in a software project. This includes architecture sign-off, code review, deployment authorization, and compliance validation. It differs from just having reviews because it's systematic, documented, and enforceable. Most definitions of HITL governance are written for academic papers. Erase the version we use internally. HITL governance means no automated system makes a binding decision alone. Humans remain accountable for outcomes, and the process is designed to make that accountability visible and traceable. Next up, now, our core principles for an AI governance framework. These are the principles behind our delivery governance framework. We're sharing them because we've seen what happens when teams adopt AI-augmented development without them. Some of these are structural. Some are cultural. All of them are non-negotiable on our engagements. No architecture proceeds without sign-off. No sprint starts without a scoped, agreed backlog. No AI-generated component merges without a human reviewer. This isn't slow. It's just structured. Our blueprint sprint methodology front-loads all of this into a 5-day scoping phase so the rest of the engagement moves fast. The weekly client demo is part of this too. We treat it as a governance checkpoint, not a status update. Weekly client demos, the most underrated governance tool, explains why this matters more than most teams realize. Let's talk about now how the blueprint sprint methodology embeds governance. Q Services developed the 5-day blueprint sprint as a structured pre-build phase that locks scope, defines decision gates, identifies compliance requirements, and aligns stakeholders before a single line of code is written. It's the most effective governance tool we have for preventing the problems that derail projects in later sprints. Day 1 is stakeholder alignment. Day 2 is technical discovery and constraint mapping. Day 3 is architecture design with governance checkpoints explicitly defined. Day 4 is scope finalization and sprint planning. Day 5 is presentation and client sign-off. The output isn't just a plan. It's a governance contract. Here is what will be built. Here are the decision points where your team approves or rejects. Here are the compliance requirements that constrain every technical decision. Full details at the 5-day blueprint sprint, how we scope projects before writing code. Next up, moving on to HITL workflow automation, where humans stay in the loop. HITL workflow automation is not about removing humans from the process. It's about automating the parts of delivery that don't require human judgment, and protecting human review for the parts that do. That distinction requires intentionality, because automation creep into decision points it shouldn't own is exactly how governance breaks down. When AI writes code, our approval workflow looks like this. Steps 1 to 2 take minutes. Steps 3 to 5 take 20 to 40 minutes depending on complexity. The result is a complete audit trail with a human accountable for every approval. Approval workflows for AI-generated code, our review process covers this in full detail. Now, software delivery governance in regulated industries. The stakes of software delivery governance are highest where regulations carry real consequences. A missed checkpoint in healthcare can mean a HIPAA violation. In banking, it can mean an OCC finding. In logistics, it can mean a supply chain audit failure. Our principles don't change across these industries, but the specific checkpoints do. For healthcare clients, our AI governance framework includes specific checkpoints for PHI handling, data classification, and audit log generation. Every AI-generated component that touches patient data goes through a compliance review against the client's HIPAA implementation specification before it merges. Why healthcare IT projects fail at compliance, not code documents. The pattern we see repeatedly: technically sound code that fails compliance review because governance wasn't part of the build process from day one. Next up, moving on to why AI in software delivery needs human governance. AI in software delivery is no longer experimental. GitHub Copilot, Azure OpenAI, and similar tools are standard in most development environments. The question isn't whether to use them. It's whether the governance structure around them is adequate for the risks they introduce. We've documented this directly. What happens when AI writes code and nobody reviews it? Covers case studies of projects where AI-generated code went unreviewed. The pattern is consistent: AI generates code that passes automated tests but fails on production edge cases at a rate that makes unreviewed AI code unacceptable for enterprise systems. AI-augmented software development done right means AI handles generation, humans handle validation. The efficiency gains come from AI speed at generation, not from removing human review. Teams that conflate the two end up with more production incidents, not fewer. Let's talk about how we measure delivery governance framework success. A delivery governance framework needs measurable outcomes. Otherwise, it's process theater. Here's how we measure whether governance is actually working, not just documented. The metrics we track across all engagements. AI-augmented software development introduces quality dimensions that traditional metrics don't capture. We've added 3 measurements to our standard scorecards. Let's talk about next up: conclusion. Our HITL governance principles are not a methodology invented in a conference room. They're the accumulated result of building software in healthcare, banking, logistics, and SaaS environments where failure is expensive and auditors are real. The core of responsible AI implementation is simple: AI does the work, humans stay accountable. What makes this difficult is building the structures that make accountability real rather than theoretical. That means locked scope before code, named approvers at every decision gate, documentation that builds itself as you work, and checkpoints that stop bad outputs before they reach production. If you're building software with AI tools and don't have a governance structure that matches the risks, the question isn't whether something will go wrong. It's when. Our software project governance framework is one way to build that structure into your delivery process from day one.